Gene Key 60. The Pathway. The Way of Realism. Shadow, Limitation. Gift, Realism. City, Justice. Program and Partner, Gene Key 56. Dilemma, Balance. Codon Ring, the Ring of Gaia. The transformational way of the 60th Gene Key moves from limitation to justice, and it's the way of realism. The Gene Keys are universal knowledge and transmission, and they make good use of the laws contained within this Gene Key. Being a holographic knowledge, the Gene Keys have connections to all systems, and since they are the codes of life, all our systems have come from them in one way or another. There are 21 groups of families of keys within the Gene Keys, known as the Codon Rings. These have links to the mystical symbolism of the Tarot with its 22 major archetypes. The 22nd is a mystery I will divulge another time. The 60th Gene Key belongs to a codon ring called the Ring of Gaia, which relates to the symbol of justice in the Tarot, the scales. This is the dilemma of this Gene Key. It's about balance, and it's all about maintaining the balance. Our planet Gaia is an expression of divine balance, and like us, Gaia is a balancing act between structure and energy, between form and evolution. This 60th Gene Key is also one of the deepest transmissions of the Gene Keys. It's not easy to penetrate and understand, and it may take time when we come to contemplate it. The shadow is limitation. We hear that word and perhaps think, oh no, I don't want to be limited. But we are and always will be until we are dead, and even then, who knows? Limitation is not the enemy. Our attitude is the potential enemy. If we succumb to the forces of limitation, we'll find that we can't breathe, expand, or evolve. There are forces in the universe bent on pulling us backwards, gravity being one. Perhaps we can begin to glimpse why this gift is realism. There's an upward force in our nature, a drive to extend, evolve, stretch, reach, and fly. But there is also a counter force of constriction, limitation, pessimism, resignation, and tightness. We are caught between these forces, just as Gaia is caught within the net woven from the darkness of space and the light of the sun. We might be asking, what does this Gene Key mean for us? Simply put, it means we must keep the balance. Too much sun and we burn, too much darkness and we shrivel. The 60th shadow really works through the mind, and the mind likes to build structures. Think about science. Science uses structured thought to make breakthroughs that propel us forwards. That's an amazing service involving a perfect balance. But it's only a balance when the scientist extends his idea beyond the known. The greatest breakthroughs often come through the wildest thinkers. Science moves at its own steady pace, but reality isn't science. We have to open up our mind up. Religion is the same. It's a structure that allows us to go beyond the structure. But most people don't get out of the structure. The Gene Keys are a classic case, as they provide a structure through our hologenetic profile. If we get caught in that structure, worrying about what it all means, then we'll be stuck. The 60th shadow knows the meaning of stuck more than any other. The structure is there to launch us beyond the structure, and that's the whole purpose of it. Our thinking gets us stuck. The way we think about our partner, our enemy, our bank account, or government, our future. It all catches us in the net. We get caught by our minds. Language is the ultimate mental structure. Do we think a tree would still exist if it didn't have a name? Of course it would. The child does not know language. Language is beautiful, but it gets us stuck. The 60th shadow is all about finding the balance. We can use the structures, but we must not fall victim to them. That's how we find freedom. The limitation is genetic. We inherit this ancestral cosmic wound, and it gets laid down in layers through our biology, our emotional life, and finally becomes a great weed in our mind. The question is how to pull out the weed. Contemplation is the ultimate weeding, and the first layer is always our mind. Look at the way your mind sees your life and really examine the ways your thinking limits you. That's why we contemplate all these cities, because they show us our potential without the limitation. The 60th shadow gets stuck by its own self-imposed limitations. But it's also about striking the right balance. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Without the banks, there's no river. We need the structures and we need to free of them at the same time. We must begin with this work with the mind. As we begin to see that we are more than we allow ourselves to often believe, then that frequency, that vibration of possibility begins to activate something inside us. It's communicated to our DNA and we begin to open. The next layer is our emotional patterns, our deep-seated issues of guilt or rejection or rage or whatever they are. Once we loosen the limited thinking of our mind, these feelings all come up and our contemplation enters a new phase. This is all the Venus sequence work I am describing. Behind that early emotional pain, those limiting emotional defense patterns, lies the prize, love. It's our dearest, truest nature. When love comes alive again in us, then finally we begin to crack open the final layer, the physical coding. We actually break the limitations within the DNA molecule itself. It opens, light pours through us, and that's when the cities arrive. The 60th gene key is a very deep journey, and we have to use structures and then transcend those structures. Eventually, we have to let go of language itself. The 60th shadow is well worth our time and attention. If we have it in our profile, our whole life is going to be influenced by this shadow. We'll have to find the right balance between our expression and the form we use for that expression, which is all very deep work. The 60th gift, realism. If we want to get something done in life, we really need this 60th gift. Realism is quite a loaded word, and it can mean so many things. In this instance, we need to think about it in terms of what we've just discussed. The gift arises from looking at the shadow in a new way, which allows a shift in our attitude. Limitation is no longer our enemy. Now we use it for our evolution. I'm a good example. I have something to give to the world, which I hope is inspirational and useful. But how do I get it out there and structure it? Before the gene keys existed, it was all just swirling around inside me and drove me nuts. All that juice and no structure. Along comes the gene keys, and suddenly I have a vehicle, and it's wide enough to encompass my illuminations. Yet the system, if I can call it that, is a limitation, and I feel that all the time. Whenever someone asks me something about their birth time or profile, I feel the limitation. It's not about any of that. That's just the delivery mechanism. The thing is the wisdom, the living transmission, and that we get through contemplation and osmosis. The gift of realism is about being able to take advantage of structures. It also has a twinkle in its eye, this gift, because it knows that the structure is a means to an end. This is a rare gift that holds the balance between the forms and structures of the world and knows the mystery that moves through them, the evolutionary current. The gift of realism also may have a dark sense of humor because it sees the paradox of its position. It needs a structure but knows that all structures are ultimately doomed. All roads lead to death. That is realism. Knowing this can free us from being caught up in the structure itself. The world is full of people wrestling within their self-imposed structures. Just look at the world economy. We created those structures and now they've become so complicated they threaten our survival. Life moves in cycles. Every now and then a transmutation occurs. Something comes along that shatters our vision of reality, and the structures crumble and we have to begin again. It's like the decline of the Roman Empire. And one day this world we've built will decline and another will take its place. The gift of realism has a natural business sense, a common sense. They know how the world works. They build structures that mutate and don't become brittle, but also move if the earth moves, and they're open-minded and adaptable. The most successful businesses in the world are the ones that can adapt to change, take advantage of change, and make a profit of it. Change is built into life. In the text of this gift in my book, I describe this as similar to grafting a young shoot onto a powerful old rootstock. The 60th gate realizes the power of the past, of heredity and tradition. It incorporates and honors them, but it is not taken in by them. As we've seen repeatedly, this gene key is a balancing act. We need the old and the new. We need science and love. And this gift of realism unites them in a practical and imaginative way. For the 60th gene key, this whole notion of contemplation is vital. In a way, it comes out of this gene key because we need a form to contemplate, but there's a lot more to the form than its content. Our continued interaction with the form ignites a wild wisdom, and this emerges in the gap between our intent and the form. It emerges spontaneously, surprisingly, and brings with it great rewards. Transformation always comes in the gaps. This is the teaching of the gift of realism. We plan for luck. We set up our easel, start a business, whatever the form may be, and go through the motions. We don't know when or how or what, but sooner or later a breakthrough will occur. We just have to begin, and it has to come from our heart. Sooner or later, because we are doing what we believe in and build a structure, fortune will find us. We are like a spider with our web, and we build the web in the right place and in the right way, and then we wait. Maybe we'll need to adjust the form or change the location until it feels right. Sometimes it takes time. It usually does, but magic is never far away. The trick is not to become a victim of our success. Forms trap us all the time. We think we have to go on making more, but the gift of realism knows when to stand back and let go. Quite possibly that is its very highest gift of all. The 60th city, justice. I love contemplating these gene keys. They are so deep and endless. This one is like a bottomless well. What is justice? That's such a profound contemplation. Sometimes when I'm thinking of these things, an image comes to me, or a snippet of a book or film. With this one, I'm thinking about Victor Hugo's epic novel, Les Miserables. Everyone has probably heard of this now, as it's also a famous musical. The story is timeless, and I think it contains a powerful meditation on justice. It's about a man called Jean Valjean, and he is imprisoned for stealing a loaf of bread to feed his family. He is a moral man, and this was his one failing in life, an act of understandable desperation. His punishment is harsh. He spends 19 years in the mines, and of course it seems so unjust. One day he is finally released, and he wanders the land trying to rebuild a life. Everywhere he goes, he is treated as a criminal, until one day a kind bishop takes him into his home, feeds him and looks after him. In the dead of night, Valjean commits the second crime of his life and makes away with the bishop's silver. The next day he is caught by the police and brought before the bishop. To his surprise, the bishop tells the police that the silver was a gift and Valjean is freed. Here is the pivotal moment in the whole book. The bishop tells Valjean that he has bought his freedom for the price of living an honest life. And Valjean does go on to lead an exemplary life. I like this story because for me it epitomizes the city of justice. Justice is not retribution, it's a reward. It's given as grace, not taken as punishment. And when it's given, freedom flows from it. It is not an imposition or a limitation. It's an invitation, an opening. One of the hardest things to do is be forgiven by someone we've wronged. It cracks us open. Unless we're in denial, it forces us into a transformation. When someone else makes a selfless sacrifice on our behalf, it invokes the power of justice or divine balance. Justice as city carries these kinds of stories within it. If we carry the 60th Jinki, such opportunities will come our way. It's not up to us to punish. Life redresses the balance, and it's always about balance. Our invitation is thus to let go. The city is always about a quantum leap from the personal dimension to the universal, so it's also about letting go. All the power and glory we've gained in the gift we surrender to the city. All roads lead to death, the great equalizer. We can see here how this codon ring links these themes. The 19th city is sacrifice, and the 61st is sanctity. These are the three themes of this codon, this genetic family. The 60th city holds an apt description of what happens when a human being becomes fully realized. At a certain point, our hearts open to our true innocence, and we begin to unlock other codes in our DNA that are ancestral rather than personal. We begin to transmute more global karma, and the more our being opens, the more we've given. We may recall this gene key is part of the ring of Gaia, and it holds the karma of Gaia. When we are ready for that, we get to be an agent of divine justice. We take on the sins of our fractal being the ancestral lineage we are born into. All this is in the DNA, and all those acts that came out of fear down the ages are stored as sanskaras, memory imprints, in our DNA. Full realization means we agree to transmute that on behalf of the whole. This is not a destiny that's for everyone. We have to surrender the balance of the gift of realism. Love requires that we let go even of that at a certain point in our evolution. It doesn't feel balanced at all to let go into this kind of process, but our love will carry us through. We've seen that language too must go towards the end. When language goes, thought also goes, and we enter into the silence of justice. In that silence, all things are justified. All polarities are annihilated. We enter into their sanctity. Yes, there are unusual manifestations through this city. There have to be, as it's one of the miracle cities. It doesn't come around often. It may only come around at a great turning points in evolutionary history. I can envisage a time when this city will come into the world more frequently and precipitate major changes in the structure of life. We could also see it the other way, that as the structure of life transmutes, so this city comes into the world as a byproduct. Either way, it will bring big changes. The transmutation of world karma will always bring big changes. It will bring an end to certain limiting structures and redefine the meaning of realism. I've always seen this gene key as intimately connected to gravity. Gravity is the ultimate physical limitation. But surely we are one day going to crack this one. Within the confines of gravity are locked massive amounts of free energy. Once we know how to use this energy, the whole structure of civilization will change and a new era will dawn. I know I'm sounding like a prophet, but assuming we don't blow ourselves up or get blasted by an asteroid, this is fairly certain to be our destiny. Free energy means free resources, which means less need for territory, which means more peace. Of course, the current laws of physics, as they are understood, will have to be smashed to allow for a new understanding. Then we are also into things like bending space and space travel, because we are no longer restricted by our understanding of the speed of light. We can see how structures trap us, and even light seems limited in our eyes. The structures trap us until we are ready to smash our way out of them. Light is unlimited because it lies hidden within the formless. We can't conceive of that with our current understandings. We are weighed down by the gravity of our thinking. What we need is levity. Justice is always about the balance. Levity is what happens when we drop our past, our karma, and our heavy baggage, and we become weightless. It's funny how the word light also means light and weight. Justice is levity, just as limitation is gravity. Light itself does not need to travel. One of my great heroes is a man named Walter Russell, a genius from the last century. I'm certain that one day his theories about light will be mainstream. He famously said, "Light does not travel, it's already there." Our current understandings are so far from this truth. Russell also said that the problem with scientists is that they assume from the beginning that consciousness is an effect rather than a cause of the universe. One day justice will prevail and he'll be shown to be right. How do I know? It's just a matter of balance.